አንዱን አውጣና ቤልጅየም ነው የሚለው። አዎ ልክ ነው። አንሳ አንዱን። This is our coffee, Oromia Coffee Union. It's ready to go to Belgium now. It goes to Antwerp, Belgium. ሀረር ነው አይደል? ሀረር ይላል። ሰሞኑን እኔ በጣም ይሄ ጆንያ ነው ያዋረደን ዓለም ላይ ጆንያ። በቃ በየሄድኩበት ቁጥር አገር ጆንያችን ሳይ ከሌላ አገር በሙሉ ኋላ ቀረኛ ጆንያ ነው። የታጠበ አይደለም እንዴ? This is my coffee. Let me show you. Yeah, this is sun-dried Harar. One of the best coffees in the world. There is no coffee which is as quality as this coffee, but we are getting very low price. You see, the price has affected all the people involved in the coffee trading. If the price of coffee had been higher, you can see all the machineries will be fully engaged in processing the coffee. But nowadays, there are only few people engaged. And as you can see, there is a lot of coffee which is not loaded because of people are waiting for a better market. Now we are heading to the coffee area of Kilenso Mokonisa, which produces Sidamo type of coffee. All the coffee from this area goes to the Western world for consumption. We export it to Europe, we export it to America and Australia from this cooperative. So I'm visiting the farmers to see how they are planting and how they are managing their coffee field. This is the center of our cooperative called Kilenso Mokonisa, and this building belongs to them. Sinii buna tokko biyya alaatitti meeqatti gurgurama sinitti fakkaata? Siniin takka kan dhugamu namni beeku jira? Sin keessa tokko meeqa sinitti fakkaata?
Jiri nam beeku.
Maarami kun meeqatti gurgurama beektani? Siniin takka birii takkaami?
Birii tokko.
Biyya faranjitti garuu bunni siniin takka birii 20 hedduu. Kilo tokkorraa buna sinii meeqatu ba'a hin beektu? Kilo tokkorraa buna sinii 80tu ba'a. Buna kilo tokkorraa. Sinii saddeettam. Sinii saddeettamni sun birrii 25 hogguu dhooftan meeqa ta'a? Birrii 200 ta'a. Kiiloon tokko meeqa baasee jechuudha? Birrii 200 baasee jechuudha. Isin asitti kiiloo tokkoof meeqa argattan? Birrii 4 5 Kana hoo laaltan maal isiniif fakkaatame?
Maaf gabaan gadi aana. Silaa bunni likkii warqiitti oola jedhanii reedoolleen bunnaa jetti malee gurra qofa dhageenna malee waan nu bayeeruun qabu.
Ka ittiin quufeef ka ittiin gabbatellee warruma naggaadu asuma keessaan bitan. Akka ka alaa hin dhunne hin dhoowwan.
Keessattuu immoo rakkoon kenna. Bunni kenna yennaa nu bilchaatee silaa guyyaa gurguraa ge'u kaane nama tokkocha dhufee hagasi isinirraa fudhadhanu hin jedhu. Nama tokkochatti shilingii sumunaan jedhee kiiloo qofuu dhaabbata. Gabaan temeniin nu bayee hagasiin bitamaa rabarana wanni jedhanu hin jiru. Gabaan kan nama tokkochaati. Waan kana ta'eef buna kenna yeroo nurraa fudhattan beektanii kaatanii yoo dhuttanii kaatanii nurraa fudhattane. Gabaa herregameen isinuu herreddanii kaatanii akka nurraa fudhattanu kan nu barbaannu.
Kanarratti waan hin dubbadhu hin qabaane. Maabarri buna bite san akka nutti dhiyeessu isinuu hin beektan miti. Yuuneet eega dhiyeessan booda bu'aan argame sun immoo deebi'ee maabaraaf kenname maabarri immoo bu'aa lammataa akka isinii kaffalu hin beektan. Kara keenyan gabaa gaariitti gurgurree bu'aa lammataa akka argattan godhuudhaaf nuyi kara keenyan qophaa'aadha. Kana waan ta'eef cimtanii buna qulqulluu wallaa keessanitti akka dhiyeessitaniin isinitti himaa jechuudha.
What you're watching there is a centralized marketplace where buyers and sellers congregate to establish the price. Last year, the notional value of all of the coffee contracts that was traded is about $140 billion. Coffee is the second most actively traded commodity in the world market. A lot of contracts are based upon the price of the New York Board of Trade coffee contract. The producer knows what he can expect for his coffee. The buyer knows what he's going to pay for his coffee because they don't establish the price. The price is being established here, and most people in the world who get involved in the coffee industry pay attention to this price every day.
It looks like one of the circuits is down at LIC, and that's what was causing the problem.
Oh, let's try $1 calls. So this screen just gives us an idea what's going on every day as it happens, and this is the prices that we're reporting out. About 50,000 screens around the world that are getting our prices, and they need to get them as they happen. most of the major coffee companies in the world, if not all of them, use the futures market to offset a lot of the risks that they normally would have. So if they establish a selling price for their coffee, well, they need to make sure that they can buy coffee at a price that will make that selling price produce a profit. So it's very important to all the major coffee companies around the world.
There are middlemen here. There are coffee collectors, coffee suppliers, and coffee exporters who are bidding for the coffee. The coffee exporters are on the right side, and these are all, this big volume. On the other side is coffee suppliers who are bringing coffee from different coffee growing zones in the regions in Ethiopia. The big multinationals have offices here. For example, Taloka is buying for Kraft Food, and Volcafe is buying for Nestle and also Starbucks. And there are also other big buyers in Europe like Dallmayr, who is based in Germany, buying for different roasters around the world.
አንድ ሞብላክ ሁለት ባግሪ ሶስት ሞብላክ አራት ባግሪ አምስት ሞብላክ ስድስት ባግሪ ሰባት ሞብላክ ስምንት ባግሪ ዘጠኝ ሞብላክ 300 ባግሪ አንድ ሞብላክ ሁለት አንድ ሞብላክ 301 አንድ ይላል።
The auction price is mainly based on the New York Sea market. If the New York is down by 5 cents today, the coffee exporters are going to buy the coffee for 5 cents down today. Once the coffee is bought from here, the coffee buyers or the coffee exporters are going to unload the coffee at the warehouse, and they process it and sell to their buyers abroad. And after that, the buyer is going to distribute this coffee to roasters. And the roasters are going to buy this coffee, distribute to roasters. The roasters again roast the coffee and they sell to retailers and the cafes. Coffee reaches the consumer after this end, after 6 chains. We are cutting the chains like coffee suppliers, collectors, and also middlemen in between. And we are eliminating these, directly linking the farmer through their own cooperative and through their union directly to the roaster. So about 60% of the chain is removed by working through cooperatives.
Akka buna dhaabuu jalqabe waggaa 20 buna malee hin jiru wani dhibee wani nama bulchu. Kadhaan lakkisi. Yoo ganna 3 ta'u ga'ee dhaqqaba. Ganna 4tti, ganna 5tti hin guurata. Akkana ittiin xaqqamaa ture. Haga achirraa kaasee haga ganna 4 sarraannaa inni akkana guddatee jaaru kanatti midhaan baasaa buusaa bonaan gannaan deema. Akkana beekna hojii isaa. Bunni immoo gabaa isaa du'aa waan ta'eefi dadhabbiin kiyya ganna kana keessatti haga amma ganna cimuu keessa ganna diqqeennaatiin jalqabee adoo buniin baafatee atoon buniin. Nuti amma ennaa siniin takkaan birrii 20 lakkisi. Siniin takkaan birrii 5 birrii 10 teeteeyyuu waan akkamii tolfanne nama samee gubbaa baye foon hin fakkaanne. Siniin takkaan birrii 20 bittu lakkisi.
Okay. Is it fairly traded?
Yes, we have
Fair trade coffees.
just all the coffees here with a fair trade.
Do you have Ethiopian coffee?
Yeah. So we've got the Tylers there, and then we.
You don't have it, huh?
Which one is it? Your
Ethiopian.
Ethiopian one.
Yeah. Yep. This is from Papua New Guinea. It's amazing, eh? All coffees are here, but ours is not. No Ethiopian coffee at all. I'm very sad because I'm looking at just, it reminds me of my farmers. They are desperate and they are getting a very low price. Their dairy income is very, very low. Here is our coffee here, Mocha Sidamo. This is Mocha Sidamo. Wow. It took me a long time to get my coffee, you see. It is just hidden behind. Our hope is one day the consumer would understand what he's drinking and will ask these people who are not having fair trade coffees to pay us a fair price. This is our hope. The consumers can bring a change if awareness given to consumers to ask for more of fair trade products. It's not only on coffee. All products which are coming from the third world are getting a very low price. And the producers are highly affected. And the British people have to think of people producing bananas as well as coffee and the other products which are suffering from the low price.
Caatii dhaabii saafi. Ammoo kun diqqaa fichaa tokko immoo addee dhibii ka midhaagaan tokko ka jiru. Kanallee akkasa midhaasiisaaf buna mureetti jedhee amma kaasaara. Buna kanallee maddii tokko marroo bunni gatii dhabee caatii gatii isa caaleef.
The World Trade Organization's beginning 5 days of talks here in Mexico aimed at opening up global trade. Western countries will be seeking greater access to new markets, while developing countries are expecting changes to a trading system they say is biased and unfair. The success of the talks is especially important for Africa, the only continent in the world to get poorer over the last 20 years.
conférence soit réussie et que ça réponde à nos soucis qui sont réels, c'est-à-dire qui consistent à établir des relations commerciales tout à fait justes et équitables.
We would like the world trading system to be able to help us stand on our own feet so that aid is unnecessary. Trade is more important to us than aid. And that's all we're asking for. We don't want to be dependent on aid forever. It just can't happen.
People are negotiating behind the closed doors upstairs. We are on the ground floor here. We're not allowed to go upstairs, but I understand that they're negotiating, and it's very difficult to predict what the result of that negotiation is.
The way negotiations happen here in the WTO ministerial is very unfair to developing countries. A lot of the smaller ones have come along with delegations of, for example, 3 people. Now, the European Union alone has got over 650 delegates here. Most of the negotiations take place behind closed doors, either in bilateral meetings between 2 countries or in kind of small working groups. Now, developing countries can't hope to cover all of these negotiations going on at one time.
The European Union and the United States are holding on to their positions. That is basically that they wouldn't want to stop subsidizing their farmers. Remember that for the past 20 years, the IMF and the World Bank have forced the African countries to stop subsidizing the agricultural system and their farmers.
L'agriculture et le développement, ça c'est clair, c'est pas pour nous seulement, c'est dans l'agenda su ici. Nous sommes des observateurs qui fait que nous ne pouvons pas en tant que tel assister aux réunions pour aider nos négociateurs. Nous n'avons pas un local dans ce bâtiment par exemple, nous sommes obligés de squatter des lieux. Mais ça va dans tout cela pour pouvoir faire le travail que nous devons faire. Donc c'est pas seulement le renforcement de nos capacités au niveau, je dirais, intellectuel, mais c'est aussi au niveau pratique, au niveau matériel, pour pouvoir participer efficacement aux négociations.
The trade talks have just completely collapsed. The African, Caribbean, Pacific countries said that they weren't being listened to. They didn't want the new issues being pushed by the European Union, and that they weren't prepared to negotiate anymore. The EU is primarily at fault. They pushed developing countries so far, and they insisted on talking about their issues rather than the central issues of poverty and development, which should have been the main part of these trade talks, instead of the rights of corporations as in these new issues.
The WTO is supposed to be a rules-based organization, but it's a power-based organization, and we are not ready to accept that. If anything, we are taking the power back, and we must take the power back from these few people who go into green rooms and manipulate the rest of us.
There were can-do countries here, and there were won't-do countries. The harsh rhetoric of the won't-do overwhelmed the concerted efforts of the can-do.
The poor farmers of Africa and the rest of the world will remain poor because of the subsidies. The subsidies must be removed. If Africa and the rest of the world, or the poor countries, have got to benefit anything from these talks.
And as I've made clear from the first days I've taken office, the United States has an agenda on multiple fronts. We're going to keep opening markets one way or another.